100,000 people live here, and everybody's friends. But when you get into the discussion about politics, it's not good, and it's a very divided city, a divided state, and a divided country. And this is what President Trump's trying to do, is bring this back into together.
He's the most un-American human being I think I've ever come across. He literally makes me sick.
Everybody talks about his rhetoric. All of us, I think, at times shun on his rhetoric. But if you look at his policies, and people keep forgetting about what he's done.
No. Things on a global scale are terrible. We're the laughingstock of the world.
At the center of almost every political conversation this campaign season is a single question: President Trump, for him or against him? Learn the answer to that, and you'll nearly always know whether someone's voting Republican or Democrat in midterm elections. The answer can also signal who someone's friends are. In our polarized country, the political is increasingly intertwined with the personal. We travel down to Central Florida to watch those dynamics in action at The Villages, a retirement community near Orlando. It's so massive that The Villages is its own census-designated place. The minimum age is 55. Golf carts represent the primary means of getting around. Retirees here have plenty of time to talk politics and to vote. And there are so many of them that senior citizens like these have the power to tip crucial House and Senate races that will determine whether Trump has more power or less after November.
Now, we're talking politics, and one of the things that everybody says about our politics now is it's nasty. We got 4 Republicans over here, 4 Democrats over here. You guys get along okay, or are you in warring tribes?
Yeah, we love our
like to think.
Excellent.
Especially the ones that jumped over and joined the Republicans.
Yeah.
We had to deal with issues. We don't get hung up on emotion. Today, everything goes to the emotional issue.
I would say that the results of this election in 2018 are going to determine whether President Trump could go forward with his policies or he's going to be halted.
Let me ask you, Trump supporters, is there anything that you think he has gone too far, stepped out of line?
Absolutely not. That's his personality. I am from the Midwest, conservative Midwest, and you know what? I've learned to love it.
There's nothing I have seen, especially on policy yet, or even on behaviors during the time that he's in the presidency, that will cause me pause.
Nothing has gone over the line, in my opinion, that would have broken a law, is treasonous like he's accused of. He has done nothing close to any of those.
Now, how about for you guys? Do you look at Donald Trump and see anything that you say, yeah, he did that right?
I'll give him no credit.
The only thing I can say that I would give him maybe half credit for is that he asked the FBI to come forward and do some type of interview with people that were involved in the Supreme Court nominee.
If I'm going to be totally honest, I could say that the NAFTA needed to be improved.
There's so many areas that are so wrong. And every time I hear him speak, I'm embarrassed.
There's a lot of bad things that have been suppressed. He has brought them up. This is not who America needs to be a leader.
What was your reaction to the Charlottesville episode last year?
My reaction was twofold. One, I'm glad it happened so that America could see exactly what I've been enduring all of my life. I've endured a lot of traumas in my life that I have not shared with anyone because I had to hold in my rage. In the workplace, I've had to endure it. In schools, I've had to endure it. I just had to be submissive because of survival.
Did any of you guys, when you think about what happened in Charlottesville, think the president didn't handle that right, expressed sympathy for bad people, the white nationalist people who were marching? Anybody?
You know, again, I think you're asking the wrong question. Go back to what he said. What he said is that there were good people and bad people on both sides. Nobody is really thinks the alt-right and Antifa are wonderful groups of people. But the vast majority of us don't fall into those categories. And I think you're falling into the same trap. You want us to start arguing tribalism here. No, I think you are, John, because you've got away from some of the fundamental questions that you were asking about policy and where we're going. But the problem is, if we're going to sit as a nation and argue emotionalism and not look at where we're going, what we need to do, and how we can better do things, all we're going to do is grow further apart, and we'll be bigger alt-rights and Antifas. And that's not what this country's all about.
And I want to tell you something, Charles. I grew up in Westchester County, New York. Blacks, Italians, and Irish. First time I come to Florida, I could not believe what I saw, that an Afro-American wasn't allowed to go across the railroad tracks at a certain time. I mean, I just couldn't believe it, you know? So I felt your pain, what you went through. I mean, I know it was terrible back then.
Well, it's
Yeah.
frankly, if we're, and that, I guess sometimes we have to go out of our comfort zones because it's still terrible. And what I'm praying and what I'm hoping and what I'm really hoping that all of you would do is tell our president, since you are his people, stop it with the antics and start to caring about America, and that means all 320 million of us.
They all want to make this about personality. It's not about personality. It's funny because we seem to think that when he says something, that's the total meaning of it. You have to look behind it. You have to look at the policies. You have to look at, we have a booming economy. The stock market is booming. Wages are going up.
Inflation's going up too.
Now, the fact that anytime we've had booming economies, whether it was in the Kennedy era, whether it was the Reagan era, or any era since then, you've always had a modicum of inflation. The question is inflation higher than the growth in wages and earnings, or is it lower? And right now, we still have a period where we can afford some inflationary rises in our economy.
We talk about policies. The personality must be put aside because it's just yes or no. But the policies that have been implemented of climate change are immediately felt.
I think there are opportunities to expand the medical services. You know, very few people go without medical services in this country. Anytime you go into a hospital, okay, you may get medical services.
If I get sick, my options right now, if I don't have insurance, to go to the hospital. Okay, well, that isn't free. We're paying for that. Taxpayers are paying for the hospitals.
If we continue to put cost over compassion, then something is wrong.
John, you know a topic that hasn't been brought up yet? Who's going to pay for all of this? Our national debt is going to destroy this country someday.
I agree with your tax cuts.
Okay, Mr. Obama spent more money, increased it more than every other president combined in the history. Yes, he did. That's a fact. That is a fact. Now, I tell you, one of these days, you mark my words, that national debt is going to destroy us. The thing is, you guys bring up a lot of great points. A lot of great points. This compassion, health care, the whole
Socialism.
bit. But we got to come up with a way to pay for it.
Here, like across the country, common ground is rare. Election day arrives next month, and Florida has big choices to make in the midterm campaign. There's a volatile race for governor pitting an African-American Democrat against a Trump-loving Republican. 8 battleground House races, and a tight Senate contest that Democrats must hold to have any chance of winning the majority.
Anytime I get the fingers when we're doing the flag wave and stuff. If we lose the House and Senate, then Trump's policies go downhill.
Here in Florida, you gotta act, because if you don't, then you're one less person, and every person here counts.
Absolutely the biggest midterm election ever.
Why?
Because if Trump gets more power, he can put his issues in. If he doesn't, he'll be restrained.
Do you think, Charles, it's an important election?
I think it's absolutely one of the most important elections ever for the same reason he just said, that if Trump has his way, his policies will prevail, and heaven help us all.
Yes.
No, no,
I didn't say that.
We were in total agreement right up to the end.
That was great.
Okay.